more valuable to their team? Would you say it's Tom Brady or Drew Brees?
This is a very tough one, actually.
It is.
I'm going to go with Brees because I think look, I know Gabbert's nothing to write home about for Brady either, right? But I saw the Bucs were loaded enough last season that they went 7-9 with Jameis Winston, who, by the way, I know Taysom Hill is listed as the backup quarterback, and I know that Sean Payton has given indications and has told us on the air, no, we're kind of grooming Taysom Hill to be the quarterback. I don't believe it. I think we'd see him more under center, like actually playing quarterback if that was their long-term plan. They moved on from Bridgewater, who was going to be very expensive for a backup. And they bring in Jameis, who maybe he's really the backup quarterback if it came down to it. Jameis gave the other team 112 points last season. They still went 7-9. The Bucs were loaded with enough talent last year. And credit Jameis also because he threw 30 touchdowns, not just the 30 interceptions, and he led the league in yards. But when you are giving the other team 112 points through 30 interceptions and your team is still almost 500, that's a loaded squad. And if anything, they got more loaded in the offseason, right? The Saints, year in and year out, we think they have a shot to do it. And a lot of it is the continuity with Drew Brees under center. And even right now, I think the Saints are flying a little bit under the radar because they haven't looked great. Their defense has been inconsistent, and in recent years, among the teams with the dynamic offenses, the Saints were the ones probably best against the run. And what you were saying, you know, how that has kind of fundamental to football. Of the dynamic offense teams, those were the guys who were kind of the most consistent. They haven't been great. They brought in Quan Alexander, right? The linebacker. They're getting their receivers back. They're getting Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Remember, Sanders brought in, now they have a number 2 receiver. Second best receiver is not their running back anymore. It's not Kamara anymore. They have a number 2 receiver. So I think for all these reasons, they're flying a little under the radar. Remember, they beat the Bucs week 1, and neither quarterback played well. Brees outplayed Brady by a little bit. So because of that, we're really not thinking about Drew Brees. But until Seattle made the move for Jamal Adams, and then the Bucs just got everyone in the world, I like the Saints this year out of the NFC. Right? Like adding Emmanuel Sanders. And I think they can start to remind us of that again because they're getting healthy. And I think Drew Brees' importance to this team will then be highlighted because we'll be thinking about him in a way we haven't thought about him recently.
Well, I think you're right in that it's close, but I'm going to lean on my former teammate Tom Brady. And here's why. It is so hard to change a culture within an organization. And I know you talked about Jameis Winston and all the interceptions, but the Bucs have been a downtrodden organization for years. And it's not just Jameis Winston. And a lot of times when you're bad as a franchise, it's a lot of things you do day in and day out, practice, how you meet, all those type of things. When Tom Brady came into the building, one of the things that you heard from a lot of the players is they wanted to see how he prepared. They wanted to see how he practiced. The defense raised their level of energy in the practice. And I know this is a talented Bucs defense, but when you're going against Tom Brady every day in practice, guess what it does? Iron sharpens iron. You get better. And it's reflected with the Bucs in how they play defense. They're one of the best defenses in the National Football League this year. And that's not by coincidence. It's about going against a competitor like Tom Brady in practice. Max, we've seen guys gravitate towards the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When Leonard Fournette got released by the Jacksonville Jaguars, where did he end up choosing?
Yep.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Antonio Brown. As much as we talk about Antonio Brown off the field, Antonio Brown had suitors. But where did he want to go? He wanted to go to Tampa Bay to play with Tom Brady. So not only does Tom Brady elevate guys in the building, but guys that want to win, they find themselves gravitating towards the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of the competitor and what Tom Brady brings to the game as far as the championship pedigree.
But that's a little unfair to Brees because Brady winds up in that situation, and there are a lot of quarterbacks that have a winning record with the Bucs. A lot of them. They were 7-9 with Jameis last year, 112 points the other team. That means a lot of quarterbacks. If you just turn the ball over 15 times, you're 9-7.
But they were just bad. But even before last year, Matt, they were a bad team.
But actually, we saw them a couple of years ago with Jameis, and they were just a bad team. And then Fitzpatrick came in, and they were scoring 40 points a game, and it was like,
And they were still losing.
But look, no, they were winning for a little while. Look what happens when you just bring in a quarterback. But although Fitzpatrick also turned over the ball a bunch, but at least he was running the offense competently for a little while. If you put a lot of quarterbacks on the Bucs, maybe they're not as good as they are with Brady, but they're pretty good. And we take Brees for granted because it's not like what you can't say is New Orleans has been a downtrodden organization for years. Drew Brees can't get credit for turning around an organization that he's been on, so they're usually good, right? I mean, they're usually good. They got Drew Brees.
But let me ask you this question. The fact that you go from Tampa Bay, who's 7-9, enter Tom Brady into the mix. A lot of people, including myself, think Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the most well-rounded team in the NFC right now. They're the best team in the NFC. Okay, that's a big leap considering what Drew Brees has been in New Orleans, and the fact that Tom Brady comes into that organization with no offseason, and now people thinking that Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC.
It's not just like Tom Brady waltzed in. He brought Gronk with him. Then all the running backs show up. Then AB shows up.
Wait a minute, hold on. Yeah. Now, is Gronk the old Gronk? No, he's not. He's not the old Gronk, dude. Okay? And AB just came on the scene, and obviously Leonard Fournette. But all I'm saying is Tom Brady coming in has elevated the Bucs to the point now where people are looking at that football team as better than the Drew Brees-led football team that's been there with Sean Payton for years.
If Drew Brees would have come in and brought with him 3 or 4 other players, we'd be saying that about New Orleans. New Orleans last 3 seasons has been a perfectly good preseason NFC favorite pick, and has been the pick of many, year in and year out. And the defense, as I said, among dynamic offenses, yes. And Michael Thomas is an excellent lead receiver, but it was a thin receiving core. And Kamara is a dynamic offensive weapon. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.